Do you guys want an FM23 tactic that scores over 5 goals a game? It might sound crazy, but we've managed it in this crazy tactical experiment. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription, and hit that notification bell above. But let's get in and break down exactly how this works. Of course, we've got 3 variants today. I want to thank all of the wonderful names coming down the screen. These are either going to be new or existing Patreon members. Patreon is a great way to support me as a creator. It means the absolute world to me. And also, you get some cool perks yourself, including access to all 3 of these tactic files in one simple download. You get early video and tactic release. You get priority in your rebuild and tactic requests, one-on-one tactical help, and much more. You guys are absolutely smashing it right now. A ton of you guys are coming to get your tactics, so if you wish to, you can check it out in the description below. But let's get in and let's just break this down because it's a bit of a weird one. So let's break down this tactic then. We're going to kick things off from attack to defend today. We're going to go to the advanced forward, who is going to be on the default, move into channels, and you're going to see why we don't have shoot more often on him, as sometimes I usually do a lot on these advanced forward roles. And I do want to quickly say, obviously, just take into account, guys, this is definitely going to be an outscoring tactic. It's not going to be that defensively solid. I think with Bayern Munich, we conceded around 1.3, but we did score over 4, so it is simply an outscoring tactic, just for a little bit of fun. But honestly, do give it a whirl, because it did manage to pick up some really good results, and also win a lot of trophies, so I would recommend giving it a whirl. On the left-hand side, we've gone with the inside forward on attack, on shoot more often, and also stay wider. That is why we've not got shoot more often on the striker as well, because the wide players are both going to be on shoot more often, and it made a big difference. I tested a season without it and with it, and the goal difference was absolutely incredible. So it is a much needed thing in my opinion. The only situation you shouldn't use this is if your players have got sort of, I don't know, 7 finishing, 9 finishing. If they've got around about sort of 12 and above, possibly 11 and above, that is completely fine. But if it's something really, really low where all the shots aren't going to go in, it's not worth having it on, obviously. Next to him, we've got the shadow striker on attack, a very, very good role. Obviously, what's going to happen here is he's naturally going to get into another striker position, so it sort of naturally can drift into a 2 up top as well, so definitely would recommend that. And next to him, this guy's a nightmare to defend against. Watching the highlights, you see him get in different pockets of space, and he is so hard to defend. That is going to be an advanced playmaker on attack, on roam from position, and also move into channels. And on the right-hand side, like I discussed previously, the inverted winger on attack is told to shoot more often, and also going to be told to stay wider. So we're getting the width from the wide players there, but essentially what's going to happen is they are going to run up here out wide, cut into this little area here, possibly even go into the box, but if not, get into this area here and have a crack at goal. And if you've got the right players that can obviously facilitate a good shot on goal, you are going to be laughing when it comes to the end of the season when you see that goal tally. Going to the 3 in midfield, probably the most important area of the team, because they have to protect, it's not even a word, the back 2. So we're going to kick things off with the box-to-box on support, on pass it shorter and tackle harder. Now, you might be wondering, this midfield could be a lot more attacking if I wanted it to be, and you're right, it could be. But we also want to make a tactic that is usable. Like, if I, for example, had 2 Metzalas on attack here and kept this the same, that would mean we've got 1 anchor defending the entire midfield and then 2 ball-playing defenders. Whereas with this, we have got a nice balanced sort of midfield, which is, you know, can control the game, which is something we still want to be trying to do. And next to him, we've got a central midfield player on support, on pass it shorter, and tackle harder. Now, what you're noticing here is a very basic looking midfield. Obviously, a lot of pass it shorter is going to be going on both of these players. The anchor is simply going to be on defend, by the way, on the default instructions. They're quite good at maintaining possession, and we actually maintained really good possession stats with this formation. And I think it's because it is actually quite a good formation. I mean, these 3 can easily control the ball between them. You've got 2 players here that are quite close to these 2. Everyone's sort of quite closely knit in, so holding possession isn't really an issue at all with this tactic. Going over to the back 2, we've got a ball-playing defender on the left, on stay wider, on defend, and exactly the same on the right. And the reason why we've got this is when we have got the ball, it's so important they stay wider, because then they naturally are going to be sort of in this area here, and it's going to be a lot easier for the anchor to spread the play around, the central midfield player to pick the ball up, and it makes all the difference. And to finish it off, the sweeper keeper on attack, obviously it's going to be a sweeper keeper, because the ball is sometimes going to get past the centre-backs, and having a keeper that is willing to take a little bit of risk is a much needed thing in this tactic. As you can imagine, scoring goals was definitely not an issue with this team. I'm going to show you a quick game here because it is a 9-0 win over Hearts. We actually kicked things off with a goal in the first minute, and this is going to give you a very good indicator of how the goals go. And honestly, there's so many different varieties how we scored goals because there's so many players going forward, but traditionally a lot of the chances do come from the wide area. They get cut back inside, and that is where the goals come from. On this occasion, it just gets played a bit more directly, so you are going to see the team instructions right after. This is not actually set up to be a direct tactic, but because there is so many players running at the goal, sometimes it is beneficial for a player to pick out a long pass, so we made sure to have certain instructions on to sort of make that happen. But you'll see now an absolute destruction of the Hearts team, and I think this game we had something ridiculous like 36 shots. We absolutely demolished this Hearts team. As you can see, the last couple of goals going now, it is going to be short into, I mean, that is an absolute rocket of a finish. I thought I'd speed the highlights up because obviously it's quite a lot of goals. What a game. So the team instructions is going to be an attacker mentality. In possession, we're going to have fairly wide, pass into space. That is exactly what I was just on about there, where we are trying to make sure there is the option to play the ball into the space if needed. We're going to have a much shorter passing directness, a higher tempo, and mixed crosses. Everything else remains exactly nice and simple and blank, purely because we have obviously got 3 tactical variants today, and we've made an even more attacking version, which I'm going to talk about, and that has got some extra things on, but this is what we use for the entire of the testing. In transition, we're going to have counter press, counter, distribute quickly, distribute to the centre backs, and also take short goal kicks. Now, you might wonder, is it risky playing to the centre backs? And honestly, no. They're both there, ready to receive the ball, and obviously you've got those three in midfield that are going to drop back and obviously pick up the ball and progress the ball forwards. Obviously, we can't have it to the centre-backs. I rarely like going long. I only really go long if I'm replicating a certain manager's style, so going to the centre-backs is always a preferred option. In terms of out of possession, we've gone with a standard line, the high pressure line of engagement, much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Obviously, we can't really use stuff like step up more because that would be an absolute, well, it would just not be a good sight at all, be an absolute destruction. So these instructions might not even seem that sort of attacking, to be honest. Like, we've not in this variant gone with the higher line, we're not completely maxed things up, we've not gone absolutely crazy. That's because a lot of the attacking stuff is done in those player roles, and when you see how many goals we actually scored a season, you're going to be shocked. So be sure to stick around for the testing part, because with Celtic, we scored over 200 league goals. Now, in terms of the attacking variant, now this, I want to just get it out there right away. This is definitely only to be used in the last sort of 5 to 10 minutes when you are desperate. The most desperate you've ever been for a golden FM. This will get you a goal. I can guarantee it. It is an absolute masterpiece at getting goals. However, going into a game, it's going to be quite vulnerable at the back, so this is purely to switch to. I want to make that very, very clear. We're going to kick things off with the player role. So as you can see, it's going to look very similar, except there is a little twist in it. So we've actually got 2 up top right now, 2 advanced forwards, which are going to be both on the default instructions. Just to clarify, the inverted winger out on the right and also the inside forward on the left remain exactly the same when it comes to those player instructions. The shadow striker remains, but he gets pushed out to the right hand side on the default instructions. And the other change, a really important change, is going to be the switcheroo of the midfield roles, where we have the centre mid on the left, on attack, on pass it shorter, and also tackle harder. But the key instruction is going to be the default one he gets, get further forward. So he is going to naturally drift in this position. So I'm going to put in there, this is not going to be how you lay up, but this is going to be what it looks like. So you're going to eventually have a system like this, where you have got a front 6 of players. We'll drag him back there just so you guys see what actually is going on, put him back onto the attack and duty, but that's exactly what is going to happen, and it makes this tactic unplayable when it comes to defending against it. I'm matching it with the team instructions. They're not going to stop you. In terms of in possession, quickly want to say the mentality is going to be set to very attacking, a complete maxed out attacking tactic for you guys. We're going to have wide on the attack and width, pass into space, play out of defense, shorter, a higher tempo, be more expressive, mixed crosses. It might sound like a lot, but we are now flying at the opposition. In transition, we're going to have counter press, counter, distribute quickly, still distributing to the centre back, but obviously the real change in this page is going to be distributing quickly and really getting that game back underway, because like I said, you want to be using this at the dying ends of a game, so you want to do everything to get the game back in flow state. And out of possession, we've got the high defensive line, the high pressing line of engagement, much more often when it comes to the trigger press, and also prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Now, obviously, the higher line has also been brought out here, meaning we are literally going to have, you can sort of see in this picture here, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 players in their half. So it's a very attack-on tactic, and the good thing about this is as well, it is naturally good at holding possession. So you're not just going to be flying in there for a couple of seconds, then getting hit on the counter-attack. When you've got the ball in their half, you are going to be very good at maintaining the ball. So it's a real nightmare for teams to defend against this. And last but definitely not least, I guess I want to make a defensive variant, although it's quite a strange looking one. It does defend really, really well. It looks a little bit like a spaceship though, I must say, but it does defend. So this is going to be the defensive variant. There are a lot of changes though in this one. So we're going to kick things off with the basically the roles which stayed the same, which are going to be the goalkeeper, the two centre-backs, the DM, all remain exactly the same. We then have on the left hand side the inverted winger on support, a lot more deeper on this occasion though, simply on stay wider. We have a box to box next to him on support, on pass it shorter and also tackle harder. A deep lying playmaker next to him on the right, because we want one player in here who is going to go a little bit more direct with his passing, because now we are taking up more of a counter-attacking approach. And on the right hand side, we've got the inverted winger on support, on also stay wider. So a very different looking sort of four. The four now sort of occurs in the midfield area, a lot deeper, and acts as a real nice sort of defensive barrier before they even get to this three here. We then have a shadow striker on attack, and an advanced playmaker on support, on roam from position, and also move into channel. So this player here is really going to be the one that has the license to roam, still cause issues to the opposition, and really just be a nightmare for him to track. And to finish it off, the advanced forward on move into channel. So we still have a very good attack and outlet, but obviously a lot more defensively focused. In terms of the team instructions, a balanced mentality is going to be key. Still standard with the width. Pass into space is always going to remain on. Still playing out from the back. Much shorter with the passing, so we can maintain very good levels of possession. Slightly lower with the tempo now, because we're now going to take a more sort of methodical approach. We're just going to sit back, sort of get the ball when we've got it, pass it about side to side, not go too crazy, because this is obviously a point where you are defending out a game. Time wasting, going to be set to frequently. We love it. And also play for set pieces. A quick plug actually, make sure to download my set piece folders from the video, because that could be a very good use of them. Let's say use of them. And that covers all of them. Throw-ins, corners, free kicks, everything is included. So definitely check that out. In transition, we're going to have counter press, hold shape, slow pace down, distribute to the centre backs, and also take short goal kicks. So quite a low risk way of playing. Now I know I said previously we're still going to have a threat on the counter. We do naturally still have a little bit of a counter going on, but I simply just don't want to have this on, because it means that all these players are going to run forward and get involved. Whereas when they're holding shape, they stay in their areas. It's a lot more sort of easy to defend when you're maintaining where you should be. And out of possession, we've gone with a standard line, still got the high pressing line, standard with the trigger presser. We've really toned down that pressing side of the game, and we've also got prevent, short goalkeeper, distribution. But even in a game when we went actually down to 10 men towards the end of the game, we still managed to win that game 6-0 with PSG against Toulouse. Obviously, with the updated transfers as well, it's going to be a mixture of goals getting put in from all different areas of the field. And this is just a real good indicator. Between this and the Celtic game, you can really see how the chances get created and how every role plays such an important part in this system. And obviously, we are going to go over the results after this as well, so you can really see what you can expect. And we have tested with a mixture of powerhouses and also lower league teams, so it does actually work with every single team, and you're going to be quite surprised by the results in my opinion. So do stick around and watch that part of the video, as you've just seen us annihilate Toulouse. So we'll get some of the powerhouses out the way. First, we're going to kick things off with PSG, where we done absolute bits, to be honest. We won the French League, we won the Coupe de France, and also won the Trophée des Champions against Toulouse. Funny enough, we scored 152 league goals and only conceded 37, which I'm going to be saying only quite a fair bit considering how attacking this tactic is. But if you take into account how many we scored, conceding that many is not an issue at all. You can see here from the data hub, 4.47 when it comes to goals per game, a conceded of 1.09, pass completion quite high actually at 86.76, an attacker win ratio of 75.82. Over to Bayern Munich now, obviously over in the German League, where we won the Champions League, the Bundesliga, and also the Super Cup, making it a treble-winning season. We scored 149 league goals and conceded only 53, so nearly scoring 100 more to what we're conceding. Obviously, not an issue at all. We absolutely stormed this German League with 95 points over Leipzig coming in with 73. A real statement of how good this tactic can be. Over to Celtic, where we won the Cinch Premiership, the Scottish Cup, and also the Premier Sports Cup, and we scored 218 league goals and conceded only 45. Now, I know the Scottish League can be a little bit of a, let's just say, a walk in the park for some teams, but I was not expecting this much of a walk in the park. There are some teams down here like Motherwell, Livingston, St Mirren, Johnston, which simply are teams you can pay sort of 7 or 8-0 playing this way. So maybe it's not as surprising, but this still was mind-blowing to me. And the data hub is going to look mental. 5.74 goals per game, conceded at 1.18, a pass completion of 87.55, and a tackle-win ratio nearly at 80%. And now we have 4th place predicted Hanover, obviously in the Bundesliga 2, which we actually managed to win. We scored 124 league goals, did concede 62, so with these smaller teams you are going to concede more, but you also still score enough to obviously outscore everybody else and still bring back crucial league titles. We then go over to 21st place predicted Ipswich Town, my local team, where we managed to win the Sky Bet Championship and also the Papa John's Trophy against Portsmouth. We scored 206 league goals. We were the worst at conceding goals though, but there again, we are literally predicted to finish pretty much rock bottom all the way down here where Swansea actually finished. So an impressive season, automatic promotion, winning the league. What a season. And then 15th place predicted Tanana, and this was a very challenging one, to be honest with you. As you can see, we still managed to do quite well though. We won the Serie B, we scored 160 league goals, we conceded 87, so nearly ranking worst again in that category, which to be honest is to be expected, but we're still winning the league by quite a comfortable amount of points, obviously an 8-point advantage over second place. And this tactic, guys, although it concedes a fair few goals, as to be expected, because you're scoring so many, it doesn't really matter at all. So I would give this, well, it pretty much changes the way you play FM completely. You sort of forget about how important it is to defend and you just focus on goals, goals, goals. If you're bored of FM at this stage of the game, give this a shot and just have an absolute blast, guys. Sign your favourite attacking players, have a laugh, because sometimes that's what makes FM fun, just enjoying it for what it is. But if you guys have enjoyed today's video, I would much appreciate it if you consider leaving a like, dropping a little subscription, hitting the notification bell above, and I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be another tactics video, but I'm not going to spoil the surprise.